Hey everyone, we are back. It's been a minute. We took a couple weeks off from doing our podcast for good reasons.
Mhm.
Me working ridiculously long hours to handle the outages that most of you in Portland or in the surrounding area are probably aware of, and more importantly, congratulations, Craig Moshkow, married. Pretty cool. I
Thanks,
was
man.
happy to be that man. It was a good time.
It was a great time. You made a beautiful best man speech for me. So what more could you ask for, right? Oh, and then my bride was gorgeous. So yeah, it was great.
Definitely was that. Yeah, no, I was definitely not thrown on the spot by anybody else at all. I felt like I did pretty good for winging it. I mean,
You did.
I was hoping your family didn't think I was making fun of you the entire time. I was trying to crack jokes that weren't really well perceived.
It doesn't.
I don't know what to say, but that was a good time, man. It was went to the beach. We got like the only bit of sunshine you could possibly ask for, like the last 2 weeks, just long
Yep.
enough for your money, man. It's beautiful.
Yes, it was. And then so because of that, we are lacking a little bit because you were working during the outages, so you didn't catch some of the games, and I missed some of it because we were doing the honeymoon stuff this last week. So we're gonna make it a quick pod, but we have a couple things we do want to hit and a couple things we want to talk about. So fire away, man.
Yeah, for sure. As you mentioned, unfortunately, I didn't get to see much of the games this time around, but I saw a lot of the important stuff. I
Mhm.
saw most of the end of some of the games, and I saw most of the good. That being the win streak that we went on, 6 in a row. That's awesome. We were
Mhm.
talking go 500 for the week. That's our motto. Pretty good there. We took care of the Mavericks in a good game with
Mhm.
Luka and Dame going head to head, which is will be a talking point for us here in a few moments. But
Right.
it was great to see. It was a close game until the end, and we saw one MVP caliber player versus another MVP caliber player who's
Yeah.
beginning a career, and a guy who's been doing it his entire career. And we saw Dame come out on top, and that was great to see. It was awesome to watch him hit some of those shots in the end and just kind of end that game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because Luka's kind of the up and comer, right? But I feel like whenever they play, Dame gets the best of him a lot of the time. And I think that week was a weird showcase for us because it was the All-Star voting was coming down to Luka versus Dame for the last spot at the kind of the second guard. And of course, with the archaic system of you got to have two forwards, a center, and then two guards or whatever in the NBA now. Even though it's positionless basketball, they still do it that way. So it's Dame versus Luka, and I feel like Dame had his best week of the season that week, and Luka still beat him. He had a crazy week, and we were on a 6-game win streak and all this stuff. And then Luka wins the fan vote tiebreaker. Whatever, it's not a big deal. Most of the people in the media and most Blazer fans know that Dame got snubbed.
Yeah, it was because I don't. So going into the game, they hadn't finalized everything. I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe. I believe he got. It was the Washington game. I want to say is where they kind of announced everything. But I know that he was right there with the votes during that time, and he had these guys know it's in the back of their mind. They pay somewhat attention to it. They take it personal. In his case, being snubbed by Luca with the Luca has a worse record. Probably, I mean, I wouldn't say a better surrounding cast right now, but definitely has at least another star in Porzingis, even
Mm-hmm.
though he's banged up. Still is a lot more going for him than Dame does, and Dame has been doing better overall statistically and record wise. So
Yeah.
yeah, the fan votes just ridiculous. I mean, my goodness, Carmelo Anthony was what top 10 in forwards. Like, I'm sorry, I like the guy, but
Not an all-star.
he's not a top 10 forward in an All Star vote right now. And same with Klay Thompson was top 10 for guards.
Yeah. There
Votes
was
just
there was massive outrage over the Clay thing. That made a lot of people upset, actually.
it doesn't make sense. I mean, realistically, it should come down to players and media, in my opinion. I mean, it's fun for the fans to be able to vote, and maybe going forward, they could just pick the two captains
Mm-hmm.
because the whole East and West thing bugs me anyway. When we talk about the All Star game, it's like they don't play East and West anymore. They get two
Yeah.
captains, one from the East and one from the West, and they draft out of the pool of players that get picked
Yep.
for the result. I mean, it's yeah, I
It's
guess
silly.
the
It's
one
archaic.
orders, but
Yeah.
yeah,
They
the
need
whole
to
thing's
fix it. I mean, I love the captain thing they did last year. I thought that was great, and they're doing that again this year, right? But I don't. There's something about the East and West. I mean, and it's always in the media all the time. But the East West thing is terrible because the Eastern Conference typically lacks. I do feel like they're getting a lot stronger with the at the top now. Um, but LeBron's in the West now, and you have him, Curry, Dame. I guess Harden moved and Durant moved, so it's pretty. It's pretty even.
They got more star power over there for sure.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the All Star, outside the starters and the captains, it's just kind of I don't know. It's they pick reserves. These captains pick their teams. It's not East versus West anymore, realistically. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't know, man. It's hard to argue. And then, so the other big news, and we can talk about this right now, is Blazer fans are going to have something fun to watch on All Star Night, other than Dame being in the game, because it's one night now instead of a full weekend. But what they're doing is they're doing the skills challenge and the 3-point shot before the All Star game, and then after at the halftime they're doing the dunk contest, and we have a Blazer in each one of those competitions, right?
Yeah, I'm really stoked for it, to be honest with you. I mean, I never really cared for the skills challenge. The 3-point challenge is fine, and the dunk contest is fine, but they've lacked stars in all the events, really overall, especially the dunk
Yeah,
contest. Skills challenge every once in a while, you get somebody in there. It's kind of fun to watch, and
yeah,
yeah, the 3-point challenge when Curry's been in it and Thompson and some of those guys, it actually is probably the only one I actually watch and I enjoy watching because it usually has some of the better shooters in the league
yeah,
competing. But the dunk contest and the skills challenge are just, yeah, that's
yeah,
okay. I mean, sure, it's fun. The dunks have kind of gotten weaker throughout the years and whatever.
yeah.
But now I get to watch every single one of them and be happy about it. I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. Well, and there's not a lot going on right now anyway, right? The weather's been kind of junky, so we're just gonna be inside watching that. And I'm really excited to see what Anthony Simons can do in the dunk contest because he has ridiculous athleticism. He's pretty long for a guy his height, and we've seen him throw down some jams. While inconsistent, he's really young, but while inconsistent, they're very electric. So I think he could do well.
yeah, it's going to be fun to watch him. I mean, we talked about this before getting onto the pod, but
Mhm.
I'm a little surprised they decided to have Anthony Simons at the Blazers get in instead of Derek Jones, who was
Yeah.
kind of champ last. Unless he's going to compete still and they haven't announced it, but I feel like by
No.
now it's all locked in.
Yeah, it's young guys. So they got Obi Toppin, who's a rookie, which I don't normally remember rookies being in the dunk contest. That's kind of weird too. And then Anthony. So it's a weird year. I'm not really sure why they didn't have Derek Jones because airplane mode is one of the best dunkers in the
Probably
league.
because
And
he missed like every
so,
big dunk that he's had a chance to make this year. The guy goes up and misses more dunks. We're all kind of waiting for it. So like, yeah, we can't have this guy. Can't have this
so
guy in
over
there.
that, man. I'm so over that guy missing dunks. Okay, so the All Star stuff we're really excited about. I really feel like Dame's going to show up in the 3-point contest. I do think he's a little upset about the first team All Star snub.
Yeah, and this will be a good chance for him to come out and just kind of do what he does best and show off a
Mm,
3-point shooting. I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, having him in the actual game is going to be a good time because
yeah,
it's always fun to watch him. And LeBron loves him, so LeBron will probably draft him.
yes,
He'll probably play a lot of minutes because, quite frankly, he deserves to.
yeah.
And it should be a good time. It should be a good time to watch that.
Mhm.
The one thing, one thing I can't quite wrap my head around is Robert Cummington in the skills challenge. Well,
I know this. Do you want to know
okay,
why?
well, because he's an alumni or something, isn't he?
Uh,
Somewhere. Yeah.
So the one of the main benefactors of this weekend's All-Star contest is historically black colleges. And so historically black colleges, there's only one player in the NBA who graduated from a historically black college, and that is Robert Covington. So he is there. I mean, he's a skillful guy. He's very versatile, but he's in the skills challenge because he graduated and is an alumni of that historically black college, which is what
And I saw that. I saw that comment or that headline. I guess that makes sense, but I don't know. I mean, this is one of the reasons I don't like the skills challenge. There's nothing. I have nothing wrong with that. I have nothing wrong with him standing in to have that honor, and that's awesome. But I just want to watch like good passers, or good point
yeah.
guards, or ball handlers in general go out there and make these plays and the dribbles and the shots. I just
Do you remember a few years ago we watched the one and we bet on it? I think we were just at your house doing dollar bets. The one with the where it was like bigs versus littles or littles and bigs or something like that. That one was really fun. I enjoyed that one. That was the only skills competition I remember recently.
yeah, and then because they've had the team thing for a while with the relay system and stuff
Yeah,
like that. But
yeah,
I don't know. When it comes to skills, I just don't. Robert Covington isn't he's not up there in the top of my head. He's a good
man.
defender,
I just
sure, but
root for a Blazer, man. Root for a
I haven't
Blazer.
seen I haven't seen him dominate guys with the ball in his hand, getting past them and making awesome passes between legs and whatever else.
Yeah,
You know,
no. When I think of skills, like top to bottom, I don't think he's very high on the list. I think of guys like Alfred Payton, Dennis Smith. I think of guys that are, if they got Chris Paul, obviously, but he doesn't compete and things like that. You know, those smaller guys that can do everything. and shoot really efficiently, which Robert Covington has not done this year.
No, he has not. He had a little streak for a while, and he's been getting a little bit better, but
Yeah.
still very disappointing on the offensive end. We can kind of come back to the All-Star thing before we're said and done here, but
Yeah.
I felt like we've been playing really good. I felt like we've been doing pretty solid overall, especially in the win streak that we've had.
Yeah.
I mean, after we took care of the Mavericks, we take care of the Thunder, right? Game we should win. Every single time, game we should win.
Yeah.
Nobody really worth watching there. They were kind of banged up again anyway, and took care of that. And then we go into the Pelicans, and this was a fun one. I kind of put it in our pregame notes when this game was on, but I like watching the Pelicans against us because I think it's a good gauge of a young team that has a lot of these star caliber players, but they're underperforming a little bit. And this is a good test for us because we seem to struggle against some of these teams sometimes. And that was one where we get to go see Zion and Brandon Ingram and all these guys, and we get to play against that. And it was great to come away with the win. And it was a little closer than we'd like, but those are the good types of tests for us when it comes down to these things.
I agree. So, okay, one of the questions that I have from this week is, so we won 6 in a row, looked really great, and some of that was against good competition, right? And then we lose 4 in a row. So what's with the up and down, Blazers? What's with the whole, we'll get on a win streak and then a losing streak? What's going on with that?
I mean, the Washington game is I don't find too many excuses for. I can't really say much about that. We came home after a road trip. We got a chance to take a team that, I mean, granted, they were on a little bit of a streak at the time. I mean, if you look at Washington's record leading into that, they've actually been playing much better basketball.
Yes. Yeah.
And they just jumped on us. I mean, their stars did what their stars are supposed to do, and our lack of star power kind of failed us there, and it didn't get any easier because then after that one home game, we go on a ridiculous 3-game road trip. I mean, I don't know. You go straight from the Suns to Denver to the Lakers. I mean, that's tough for any team to deal with, especially a team that's a little bit banged up like us with some of our main guys out. I don't like to make excuses for the team. I don't. I feel like Denver was banged up. They didn't have a lot of their guys in there. I mean, they had the guys they needed to have in there, but they were still a little banged up depth-wise. Yeah. It's a team we typically play good against, and they, I mean, it was close. What was it? 5-point game. So it was great to see. The Suns, that one sucked for me. I really wanted us to see us play good against that team. That's the team where the Blazers, at least for a while there, were battling back and forth with for 4 and 5. This team is going to be important in that situation. And that was a team that you really want to see them come out and at least make it competitive. I don't mind losing because it's a tough road trip, but make it competitive to the point where you feel like you get to that point where you're in that 4, 5, 6 seed range and you're fighting with a team like this that you can at least be competitive with them. And I hope the next time around they play better because we didn't look like we belonged in that game at all. I mean, it was done early. It was bad.
Yeah, those are the losses that kill you, right? Against the teams that are close in standings and you just get completely blown out. I mean, we can blame it on a road trip or we can blame it on energy or whatever, but we got to come out and be ready to fight in those games, especially when we're on a small losing streak, a couple games. I think Denver is tough because you go into their building and it's mile high, it's a really tough place. And then on top of that, I feel like Murray is really up and down, but he plays really well against us typically. And I don't know why we just struggle to guard him a lot. I think they play a lot of inside out basketball where they go into Jokic and he kicks it back out. And we really struggled with that. We can play ISO scorers and we can shut down guys like Luka, who you don't have to worry about them passing. But these teams that move the ball and whip the ball around, they can be a problem for us, man.
It's been a problem. It's always going to be a problem. Passing centers tend to definitely do a little bit more against us than other teams. We've seen it even with some of the smaller forwards. I should say bigger forwards, guys like, Giannis and Draymond, like they typically do good against us. So
good point.
It sucks. It's a rough one to lose because I feel like Dame has the edge on Chris Paul. I mean, Chris is a little older now. He's great at making passes. He can score when he needs to, but he doesn't have the same step. Defensively, that's one of the ones where Dame should be able to get a lot of points. Booker's not guarding him. I mean, Booker can score in just droves, but he's not shutting guys like Dame down. So I just think Dame's I don't know if he's been struggling mentally or what it is, but he just hasn't looked himself. He's been playing okay, but it just hasn't looked great on this road trip. And you end with the Lakers and you saw the same type of result.
Yep. Yeah, I watched a lot of that Lakers game, and we started out really well. I mean, we were beating them by 10 in the first quarter, and then it was tied at halftime, and we kind of dinked around. And then the third quarter came, and they just outclassed us, and they just bullied us. And I, that seems to be kind of what's happened a lot on this last 4 game slide is we'll play well for 1 or 2 quarters and then we'll have a really bad quarter and just fall out of the game completely. It hasn't been very characteristic of us because most of this year we've been close in every game and we either come up a little bit short or we pull it out with Dame heroics, the Superman cape, right? What I was doing though is I was pulling up Gary Trent Jr.'s stats. Uh,
He hasn't been shooting well. I saw that he has not been shooting well, and that again, that's kind of a problem with him when we talk about him, how good he can be when he's on. But if he's missing his threes and he has one of those games where he goes cold, he can't do anything else.
yeah.
I It's a problem, and it's going to be a problem. I mean, he's a good defender and he's a great 3-point shooter. I just worry that when you get in these situations for the people that want to trade CJ, and we've talked about trading CJ,
Yeah.
we're not against him starting, but he can
So
be your second option on offense. You know what I mean? Like
he,
fine
yeah.
and
So
dandy to get him back, but he can't do
in
it.
the Laker game, he shot 8 of 20 and he scored 19 points. In the Denver game, he shot 7 for 16 and scored 18 points. And then against Phoenix, he went 4 of 18. So in the games where we're getting beat, he's really not shooting well. And the thing about the Laker game is Dame was getting trapped and doubled the whole game. So you figure there's some open shots, right? And we bricked consistently those open shots. And that was what's disheartening as a Blazer fan because we've seen this formula before. We've seen it against the Pelicans in 2016. We've seen it in every playoff series we've ever played. Dame gets doubled. Now we are minus CJ right now, but that was really disheartening to see.
Yeah, our offense is built around the three ball. That's no surprise. And
Mm-hmm.
especially it's even worse without Nurk in there because they lose some of the pick and roll. And Cantor does all right with it, but they lose a big part of their offense without Nurk.
Yeah.
Without CJ being able to create his own shot, it's just all threes. And when
Yeah.
you get in the game against some of these better teams, these competitive teams, if you're missing your threes and you're shooting under 40% or even really under 45% when this is what your offense revolves around, it's going to be hard to stay in these games. I mean, yeah, it looks good when you get a little run going and you're able to stay in games, but you start missing, teams start building up leads. You kind of have to keep shooting your way back into games, and against some of these better defending teams, it's just not going to happen. I mean, you're not going to do it against the Lakers and the Nuggets and the Suns. So
No, and there's been no games where Anthony Simons popped off. There's been no games where you know what I mean. Like, it's just been nobody has stepped up. I mean, Cantor's done his job. Dame's been probably pretty exceptional for the most part. There's been down games here and there, but I mean, other than that, Hood and Mello have been very inconsistent. Man, Hood is looking not great right now for the $10 million he's getting paid.
he's not. He's got to play a lot better if he doesn't want to be traded in a couple weeks because realistically, he's an expiring contract. He's 10 million that somebody can try to use to clear up some salary that we just don't need to hold on to. We talked about that winning streak, and I think the one of the biggest parts of that winning streak was how good Carmelo was playing. I mean, the over 20 points a game almost consistently. He was shooting a very good percentage. And then on that bench unit, when he's having a bad game and Hood and Anthony aren't getting any good looks, so they're not putting the ball in, it's rough to watch when Dame sits. When he rests, it's
Yeah.
ugly.
I think that's missing the CJ effect, right? CJ can help sort of levitate that second unit and keep them in a game. I mean, when we had Danny on 2 weeks ago, he said the Dame off court minutes are where the game is won or lost, right? When Dame is off the court, if we get destroyed, it's over before he ever gets a chance. Now in the Laker game, I think he played 40 minutes, so he was out there for most of the game because Stotts must have felt like it was a winnable game. But man, be careful with him around the All-Star break, please, Stotts.
You don't want to lose four straight in any kind of capacity. So I feel like
Yeah.
if it's going to be close,
Yep.
at this point, you're going to have to play him a lot, and it doesn't get much easier. They released the second half of the schedule, so our upcoming games don't look too bad. I know we have the Hornets tonight, so that's going to be an interesting game. I'm
Yeah.
actually looking forward to watching it. I like a lot of the guys that are on that team. To me, they're ridiculously scary from the amount of movement they can get with the ball. I mean, I know Hayward's not going to play, but my goodness, I mean, Terry Rozier, LaMelo Ball, like these guys can move the ball around. It's going to be a fun game to
Yeah.
watch. But really, we got to go into the All-Star break above probably even 500 at this point. I mean, obviously 500 is the goal, but
Yeah.
if we don't get at least 3 wins going into this All-Star break. It's going to be
Yep.
really, really, really rough to watch.
So here, hold on, I'll check it. So I think no matter what, based on where we are now, I think we're set as far as 500 goes. So right now we're 18 and 14, and we have left on the schedule Hornets, Warriors, Kings, and that's it before the All-Star break. So we only have
So
tonight
three
and then
games.
two. Yeah. So no matter what, we'd be at least over 500 at the All-Star break. You got to think Warriors and Kings are at home. Tonight's game is at home. So we have a 3-game home stretch.
You
I
gotta
think
go
we
at
win
least
two
one,
of
right?
those. We win
Yeah, you
two of
got
those.
to win 2 of those. You have to. I mean, you're starting to slip a little bit here in the West, and our second half of our schedule is probably one of the hardest second halves in the league. It's not going to be pretty. We start off a ridiculous little stretch right after it. And we're still down people for a couple more weeks.
Yep.
It's you got
So
to go on one here.
there's something that we talked about a little bit earlier today, and I want to touch on the pod because it's important. We brought 2 guys in this offseason, and we thought they were great additions. In fact, we pumped them up in the preseason, said we thought their offense was going to be a big key for us. Robert Covington, Derek Jones Jr., I would say they've been 7 or 8 out of 10 on the defensive end. They've been fine, not amazing, but fine. They've helped us win games. Offensively, though, I was expecting more out of both of them, a little bit. What's going on with the two of them, and are they slipping into the Chief Harkless role too much?
Well, I mean, Covington, that's what he should be doing. He's supposed to
Yeah.
be a better shooter than this. Him missing his open shots are a killer. I was worried about him getting good looks when CJ got hurt and when Nurk got hurt because I kind of felt like teams knew the ball would gravitate towards him a little more. But I think with
Sure.
I want to say the emergence, because it's not like we didn't end last year this way. But I think with Trent playing as good as he's been playing,
Mhm.
it's alleviated some of that, and teams are more focused on stopping him from getting threes than Rocco. Man, if he's not going to be hitting these shots, it's kind of the one thing he was supposed to be able to do. And I understand he's not going to shoot great, but I mean, what's his percentage at this year? Do we know? We pull it up.
I'll look it
Curious.
up for you. You're not going to like it, though. I guarantee you that.
Below 37% right now. It's a problem. That's all I'm going to say. And
Yeah, it's below that for sure. Hold on.
even 35 from three is where I'm hoping he can be with the amount of looks that he's getting. What is it?
So he's shooting 35% from the field.
From the feet.
From the
And
field. His field goal percentage is 35%. He is historically over a 40% field goal shooter. So he's down a lot. I'll tell you his full stats in a second. But it's
Yeah.
not.
And that to me is one of the biggest concerns for our offense. I didn't expect much out of Jones. I thought Jones would be an opportunistic scorer.
Yeah.
Cuts and rebounds and things like that, kind of getting good looks around the rim. To me, we haven't seen these guys play with Nurk and CJ for very long. I feel like they were kind of starting to get into their groove. The whole team was before the injuries hit.
Uh-huh.
And now you're asking a different kind of offense out of them that they weren't brought in to play. And it's a little hard to be too hard on them right now.
Yeah.
Just because, again, I feel like both of them are supposed to be very opportunistic scorers, and now you're kind of asking them to do a lot more than I think even they were brought in to do. I mean, they were here to play defense. They weren't here to score.
Yep.
That's why you sign Carmelo and you have Nurk and CJ and Anthony to take that step, and Trent's supposed to get the threes for the most part. So they were here to play defense. I mean, that's what they were brought here to do, is use their length and hit a couple threes. But lately, I mean, we've asked them to step up from 3-point range, and
oh man, this is killing me. His 3-point attempt. So he attempts 5 3-point threes per game, and his percentage is 32%. It's rough, man.
It's rough because we know what historically he was doing. He was brought here to be the prime 3-and-D guy. I mean, this was supposed to be the gift the Blazers needed to take one of those next steps and at least be a second, round contender, a Western Conference contender. Maybe not a championship contender yet, but at least supposed to get us back to that level where we were competing like we did a couple of years ago with a better version of Chief, right? That was what we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you. His offense is lacking. He's got to shoot better at some point. I'm hoping that once CJ gets back, he picks it up, and maybe he will. I don't know. I think the thing that you can make a case for him and Derek Jones defensively is they're really the only two good defenders on defense that we have. Canters tries his best. We've already talked about Dame. Gary Trent is okay, but like he's not a switchable defender. So they're doing their job. It's just offensively there's a little bit lacking from Covington with that three ball.
And it's you can get all the stops in the world, right? Doesn't make a
Mhm.
difference if game's getting doubled or goes out and you can't score the ball. Teams
Yep.
aren't going to shoot bad forever, and especially not the stretch we've been playing. I mean, we played 3 playoff teams and we lost all 3 of them because we could not stop them. Whereas
Yep.
before, you play a lot of young teams. I mean, yeah, they're going to have lulls, and you're going to be able to play defense against those teams. You go down and find defensive lapses and be able to score. And Dame's going to have those really good weeks that we saw leading up to everything. So
Mhm.
it is what it is. I mean, it's a tough stretch. It was going to be a tough stretch. We already knew the road trip was going to be tricky. They disappointed. I again would have liked to see them be a little more competitive, especially against the Sun. To me, that was the one that kind of just hurt the most. I mean, we always play all right for Denver, but we see Denver all the time. They know us. We know them. We're trying to go into a situation of familiarity that we were lacking in the assets to be able to keep up in that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Phoenix hurt. It hurt to get blown out like that. And the Lakers, yeah, again, probably my favorite win of the year. We beat them earlier.
Mhm.
Asking to try to do that twice on the road against LeBron, even without Anthony Davis, they got Schroeder back.
Yeah.
They still have one of the better benches in the league with a bunch of vets, and that's just a tricky one in general.
Yeah, I mean, well, and the other thing is, so they throw LeBron at you, who's tough enough, and then they've got Montrezl Harrell, who's a kind of a tweener, and he's really hard to guard for us. We really struggled with him. They hit a lot of their shots. We were very turnover prone. We haven't been very clean with the ball the last 4 games. It's
It's
been
been a big
sloppy.
issue.
I
It's
think
been a
part of it
issue.
I think part of it is when the guys aren't hitting their shots, I do think it sort of takes a little bit of air out of us a little bit. And so we look to make those tough passes and guys start forcing stuff. You could tell we fell behind the 8 ball in both of those games you're talking about with LA and Phoenix. The Wizards, to me, are one of those games that we probably should have won. The road trip, I think, just affected us.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, all in all, we
Here's
knew
what
this
we
was going to
need.
be tough. We have 3. I blame us. I blame you, really. I mean, it's not my
Yeah,
fault. Mother Nature
gosh,
hit. You had to go and get married.
I did.
And we talked about going 500 every single week. Well, we don't do a podcast, and all of a sudden they lost the motto. They
They
forgot
lost the
about
support.
lose everyone this week instead. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to say like maybe rethink your relationship and all, but it's kind of a bad omen. You know what I mean? Like that's not
Yeah.
a good.
Yeah, let's hope tonight we get back, get it right with Charlotte. Charlotte's kind of an interesting team for us because they can run and they can shoot. I do think they're down enough of their good players. I don't know if Rozier got cleared for this game. He was doubtful, I think. And if
I
he
thought
doesn't,
I was playing. It was
did he
Hayward. It
play?
was
Hayward's out for sure.
he's
But
done.
I don't think their bigs can really do much to us. You know what I mean? I'm not scared of Cody Zeller and Bismack Biyombo. So I think we're gonna get them tonight.
Yeah, I don't even know if Zeller's playing. I know he was one of those guys that
He
was
was
banged up.
was
So
he?
yeah, Cantor should have a good game.
Yes.
Biombo, kind of a poor man's Cantor. He's a pretty good rebounder, can do a little bit of everything, but he's not very good at one particular thing.
Yeah.
Cantor's obviously going to win that matchup, you would think.
Yeah.
I do worry about ball movement. Again, defensively, you kind of worry about LaMelo and Terry and what those guys can do to you, just moving the ball around and attacking the rim.
Malik Monk's
If
been really good.
and again with perimeter defense, I mean Rozier is one of those guys that hits over 3 threes a game, chucks it up. He shoots a good percentage from it. He's
He's
already hard
been
enough.
he's been scoring like 20 a game for the last couple weeks, and he made like a late push to be an almost a borderline all-star. Like he was really good the last couple weeks.
It's a game this year, and they're one of my favorite teams to watch. I mean, they
Mhm.
really are one of my favorite teams to watch. I mean,
Yeah.
Bridges is that guy should be in the dunk contest. Like he's exciting to watch. I mean, even
Yeah,
without Gordon Hayward, like they've been a really fun young team that made some good moves. And
I like
I
that.
mean, it's fun to watch them in playoff contention right now. And I'm excited to see that. It's going to be a good game tonight. Kind of excited to watch that one, see how we do against another one of those teams that kind of reminds me of really the East New Orleans Pelicans. Like, I mean,
Mm.
they're probably got a little bit more star power with some of the guys they brought in, but
Yep.
they're one of those teams that have a young star, a good core around him, just
Mhm.
a fun athletic team that's going to move the ball around. It's really in the next couple of years going to be, one of those middle seed contenders probably every year for the East. So
Mm.
Looking forward to watching them. Then we have what you said. We have the Warriors.
Mm,
Dame and Steph, man, it's always one of those situations. I saw them get blown out. I think it was either today, no, last night they got blown
last
out.
night.
So they're going to be a little upset. And again, Portland's one of those matchups with them that we always, whoever has the home court advantage
Yeah.
tends to win that
Whoever's
one.
healthier and has home court typically wins.
So we're always going to look forward to that. And then who do we end with?
Oh man, I just forgot. Hold on.
Look at us being so prepared for this podcast, right?
I had it too, and then I was looking up Terry Rozier stats because I was like, "Where is he really this good?" Okay. And the Blazers play. So it goes. Oh, Kings. Yay, that's a get right game
That's right. That's the King. Yeah,
in
we've
Portland.
already showed what we can do to the Kings all year. So
I think we
yeah,
win
I
two of
mean,
those.
you got to if you can get 3, we're going to be in a much better spot. You get 2, sure. You got to have some kind of momentum going in this All-Star break. Take some time
So
to rest, reevaluate Nurk and CJ, and see how long it's going to be for them, and come back out
yeah,
strong.
and right now we're 6, and the Spurs are 5, Suns are 4. We right behind us is Denver. They're basically one loss behind us. The thing that scares me is I don't want to be a play-in team again this year. I do think that health and experience is on our side, but I don't want to be a play-in team.
No, you don't want to, because not only obviously do you run the risk of being eliminated, which sucks, but also the amount of energy it takes to be in that play-in tournament.
That's it.
You have to play one or
That's it.
two extra games. I mean, we already had to play hard enough in the bubble to make it to the play-in
Yes.
tournament, and then to play the games in the play-in tournament, then try to
Mhm.
take on the Lakers. I mean, people want to stick and say whatever they said. I think we just ran
Yeah.
out of steam. You do not want to be in that situation trying to play against one of those LA teams or even Utah at this
I
point,
agree.
having to play extra games. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So keep floating around that 6 seed. I'm fine with it.
Mhm.
Fans should be content with where we are. Yeah, people can sit here and nag the team all they want, talk about how we're not a contender, we need to make moves, yada yada yada. But just be happy that we're at least playing competitive basketball right now without some of the guys that we have. I think when we get them back, even with the tough second half of the schedule, if we can get CJ and Nurk and get our offense flowing and then use Jones and Covington the way they're supposed to be used,
Yeah.
get Trent back on the bench playing there, and who knows? I mean, I think we can still compete with a lot of teams. Probably not beating any of the LA teams, and we're probably not beating Utah. So have some fun, get to the first
Mhm.
round, try to get a win, and see where momentum can carry you. That's the long term goal right now.
Yeah.
I would say at this point in the season, be happy where we are. We've been
Yeah.
banged up. The 6 seed, we're going to the All Star break. You can't really complain too much. I mean, you can always complain, but I feel people should just be happy where we are and live with the ups and downs of a remade roster that really hasn't had the chance to build that chemistry. It's not bad.
Yeah, and when you think of so we've had a 4-game losing streak. It was all on the road. And the thing about the 4-game losing, I think that's the longest losing streak we've had all year. That's a pretty big feat for a team that lost 2 of its starters and has had missing 2 of the other starters at points during the year. So, all in all, I think we're fine with where we're at. The All-Star break will be good rest for us, and it'll be fun for Blazer fans. Kick back, enjoy it. We don't ever get 3 people, 1 in each contest. So, like we said, just have some fun with that, and appreciate how hard the guys are working right now because they are playing really hard. We questioned their effort, I think, 3 pods ago, and since that, they've really responded. So they must be watching the pod for sure, right, man?
Followers. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Now I have so I think we kind of touched on a lot of this. I have a couple of questions and a new segment, kind of a new segment I want to throw at you that I
Sure.
just literally just came up with right now.
Let's do it.
Very spontaneous like that.
Mhm.
So my first question for you is
Yeah.
going to be in the All-Star game, who is going to perform better, Luca or Dame?
Oh, it's definitely Dame. He has a history of going right after it. He's had a couple games where he probably should have been the game MVP, and he wasn't. Or he's had games where he was really hot and the coach pulled him, and if he would have got a decent amount of minutes, he would have won MVP. Plus, I just think that his game is much more suited to that. Luca's game is a little more, hezzies and pullbacks and step backs and stuff like that. He's not really going to be doing that a lot in the All-Star game because these guys don't want to get hurt. So I think Dame's just going to shoot the lights out. I think he's kind of upset about how things have gone this year.
Yeah, good answer.
What about you?
Good. I agree. I mean, Dame's been there. He knows how to fit in with the All Stars. He knows where to be and kind of what to do and how fun it's going to be. He's going to take deep threes. And when you watch him in the game, he kind of gives me that vibe like Roy used to get, where he takes it a little more seriously than he probably should.
Yes.
Especially in the second half when it kind of heats up and the new rules have kind of made it a little more competitive and fun. But he's one of those guys that I feel like he still kind of has that extra gear where a lot of guys are just having fun flinging around, and he kind of has that face that he's like, I'm gonna go out here. This is a basketball game. I'm with all these guys that
Mhm.
consistently get talked about more than I do. They get way more respect than I do, and he always comes in and kind of has the extra mode in the All-Star
Yeah.
game. And I would say points wise, yeah, he's gonna probably do better. It's all about the percentages. And I think he gets more assists, rebounds, all of it. I think he ends up beating out Luke. Well, maybe not assists and rebounds because Luka's kind of a bigger do it everything kind of guy. But I do think Dame will have the better game. If like you said, if he gets given the minutes.
Yeah. I think that's
Okay.
good, man. I mean, honestly, the only thing I fear is that they don't defend Luka and he just walks to the basket and lays it in a bunch of times. And if he does that, then yeah, he'll definitely outscore Dame.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So my next question, my last
Yeah.
one for this little bit here.
Yeah.
Out of the three Blazers in the All-Star competitions, which Blazer do you think? And this is actually one I got from a fan.
Uh-huh.
So which Blazer do you think is going to do the best in their individual competition by either winning or getting top two, whatever it's going to be? Who goes further in their individual competition?
Yeah, that's okay. So I think we agree that Covington in the skills challenge is going to be overmatched by the other players in the game. So I think that he's going to get wiped out. The format also doesn't really suit him that well. It's very run and gun, and there's a lot of quick pace to it. I don't think Covington's going to do that well. If I had to bet, this is going to be kind of off the wall. I would bet on Dame, and here's why. He just got snubbed. We already said he's going to have a really good All-Star game. The three-point contest is before the game, and he's going to want to ball out for everybody there. I agree with you that he usually plays his best when the lights are on brightest, and I just think he's going to want to light it up. He's been in a lot of not a lot of three-point contests, but he's been in a three-point contest before and not won it. I think this is his year. I would put my house on Dame winning the 3-point if I had to bet on a Blazer.
Yeah,
What about
that's
you?
fair. I would probably agree with that. I kind of want to see what Anthony can do with his hops, but you see a lot of these guys come in here and they just don't execute the dunks that they want to execute.
Uh,
I I hope he can. I mean, I know he plays around in practice, and the guy can probably
yeah,
jump higher than everybody else, even this topping kid who plays his 15 minutes a game in New York. So I like to see Anthony. I actually think that he gets top two. I think he can make it to the semis in the the finals and the dunk contest.
yeah,
Was Dame? I don't know. I I'm going Anthony. I'm taking Anthony. I think he goes further than Dame.
yeah.
I don't think Dame gets top three in the 3-point contest. And I think
That
Anthony.
makes sense because there's only three dunkers. The only thing that makes me nervous is with with the dunk contest. Okay, a lot of it is creativity, right? I don't know what Ant's creativity is. I know he can dunk, but I don't know if he can come up with this cerebral, planned out dunks like Derrick Jones Jr. That's why he won because he had these great creative dunks, and I think that's why Aaron Gordon should have or did win also another one of those years. But I don't know if Ant's got that, so I'm kind of curious to see what happens. Do you think he does?
I think he ends up either winning it or at least does better overall points wise than Dame. Yeah, I'm going with Anthony. I think he's going to jump over these guys. He's got a rookie in there. Okay. And then the other guy, I've never even heard of the other guy. I mean, maybe that's just on me, but yeah, I think Anthony just is going to be more comfortable because he's been playing more minutes than these guys. Just going to come
Yeah.
out there and light it up. I'm excited for it. I do.
Well, and we're so smart that I'm sure Covington will win the skills challenge, and both our guys will get eliminated in the first round of our stuff because that's how smart we are.
Come out with this giant hand, just passing it through the little tire, whatever it is, like a pro.
Oh no.
And my last new segment. Okay,
Yeah.
it's my new segment. It's kind of news related. It's kind of just your opinion related, and just talk about it in general. But it's okay. I'm gonna work on the names. The fans they cut me some slack here, but I'm gonna go with the whole "Where Are They Now" type of theme. We're gonna
Yeah.
talk about ex Blazers, and I'm gonna come up with a cool name eventually. Maybe I'll ask some fans for some help here, but basically, I'm going to talk about something that may be happening recently in our podcast and what's going on with that Blazer, and I want to talk about it. And my news for you: LaMarcus Aldridge, fan favorite, All Star, great Blazer, sure, benched in San Antonio. They are starting Jakob Poeltl Pedal, him, Jacob Podol. Yeah, he's starting over LaMarcus Aldridge right now in San Antonio. The max player, the guy that Pop recruited, is on the bench. Coach's decision. What do you think?
Okay. Boy, that's painful because how bad could we use LaMarcus right now? I think, I mean, I haven't watched any Spurs basketball this year, but the last few times we've watched LaMarcus and everything I've heard about him in the media is that his game has really fallen off. If you think about his game, it should have aged well. It should be a Dirk Nowitzki type game, but I'm hearing really bad things out of San Antonio as far as his game is concerned. Maybe like a Blake Griffin-esque fall off. I mean, are we approaching the cliff here with LaMarcus where he and Blake are out of the league in 2 years? Is that actually feasible?
I kind of agreed with you to some extent. I think LaMarcus's game should have aged well. I mean, there's a lot of jump shots. It's a lot of that kind of corner of the key, turn around, hitting the jumper. And with his length and ability to get over guys, you would think he'd be able to do a little better. But I just think he doesn't give you much else on offense anymore. He's not getting to the rim. He's not going to be able to post score on many guys now. He's always kind of been a little soft as it is. Defensively, he's never been a great defender. His whole thing was being able to score and score efficiently. And he seemed to do just fine in the game they played against Portland, granted. But I just think for what they want to do, I mean, Podol, can't say his stupid name. I just think he's a more athletic, younger center, power forward for them in a line where they have a lot of length, and I just think he fits a little better with the energy that he can bring in, where LaMarcus just can't bring it anymore.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of at that Carmelo stage where maybe you're just a bench guy that's going to go give you 15 points off the bench. You know what the game's going to be. You're going to go to him. He's going to turn around, shoot over you, and it's kind of funny to watch it because it's exactly what we're going through with Carmelo, I think, to some extent, although I think Carmelo has a little bit more to his game than LaMarcus probably has, with the ability to hit the three and probably a better passer and all that. But
definitely,
yeah, I saw that news and was kind of interested. I mean, they still kind of seem like one of their cornerstones for the next, year or two with around DeRozan, and to hear that he got benched and the Spurs are gonna kind of go in a different direction here. There's been a lot of talks about trading LaMarcus and
they should
trying to get him on a contender, but that's a pretty decent sized contract to try to move.
You know where he'd be great is if he was in Phoenix. He could play great backup minutes for Ayton, or he'd pair really well in the starting unit. I mean, he could stretch the floor for them. He's not a good defender, but the Suns don't really need him to be. I could see him going to there. I could see him go to Denver. Denver needs some power forward minutes. He'd pair well with Jokic. There's a lot of teams that could use a LaMarcus, but
score like that.
Yeah, he's going to have to take a diminished role like a Carmelo, and that's really hard for those guys that were all-stars early on in their career. You've seen how hard it's been for Melo to adjust and to just fit in at times where he isn't taking 12 to 15 shots a game, because it's not there sometimes. You don't have the minutes and you don't have the capability of taking 5 shots away from CJ and Gary Trent Jr. We would prefer them to shoot, and I think LaMarcus is going to go through that. Blake Griffin's going through that, man.
Yeah, it's Blake Griffin's not even playing right now. They try to trade him because he's just so big. They can't risk him being injured. So I don't know. I just kind of thought it was interesting. I want to try to do this a little more often, talk about some of the old Blazers, and love it. We love our ex-Blazers, and there's a lot of guys that are still in the league that are playing realistically pretty good roles on a lot of other teams, and we'll touch on them in the next couple of weeks. But I just thought that was interesting. It was a cool little bit of Blazers news, ex-Blazers news. So, ex-Blazers explanations. Yeah, I'm working on it.
You got it.
Working on it. But yeah, that's about all I have for this podcast, man.
Me too.
We had a lot going on. We just wanted to get back here and talk to everybody. We know it's been a pretty rough stretch recently, but lucky for us, we had technically between pods, I think we might have gone at least 500. I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
We're 6-4 over the last 10 because we went 6 in a row and then 4 lost. So since our last pod, we're probably like 5-4 because we won a game.
I don't know if we're quite that good. I think we're gonna go 3-4.
3-4.
I think we beat the Thunder, the Pelicans, the Mavs, and then lost the next 4. So we're 3-4. Darn it.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, we'll take that, especially with the road trip and those tough games. I think hang on to the All-Star break, win 2 of the next 3 or all 3, and then just kind of get some rest and hope, because CJ is going to be reevaluated within the next week. That doesn't mean he's coming back, but we should have a time frame for him coming back on that fractured foot.
For sure.
All
Sweet,
right,
man.
man.
Well, that's all I got for you. I mean, that's about it. You got anything else you want to add?
Nah, man. Just living life, loving life, and we're getting through all this crazy time. We're gonna try to get back on a recording schedule every Sunday, and we may have a special guest coming up soon within the next 2 podcasts. So like and subscribe for more.
Yeah, YouTube, subscribe, Twitter, follow, Facebook,
Yep.
like, do all of it for us. Help us out. Share the videos. We're having a lot of fun with it. We got Meringue on last week. Or our last pod, and he's right. We got some special guests. We've been reaching out to some people. We're gonna have some pretty experienced and just people who've been blessed with a good career in the Blazers organization to come in here and show us what's what and
Yeah.
help us out with these pods and give you guys some pretty sweet insights. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, and with that, good luck in the All-Star game, all of the Blazers, and let's get it.
Yeah, good one, man. Rip City Real Talk.
Deuces.